Hey you guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be trying out the brand new Patrick Starrr Visionary palette. This is from his brand One Size that they do now sell at Sephora. So I picked up the palette. This literally just came out, and he also came out with some other new items. I believe there's like eyeliners and like glitter eye toppers, but I just went ahead and picked up the palette, so I'm going to be trying this out for you guys today. So really quickly, before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, I am doing a huge giveaway. I literally just posted that giveaway. It is my monthly giveaway for this month, so I will have that linked in my description box below if you guys want to go and enter that, and trust me, you do not want to miss out on it. And also make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So before we go ahead and test out the palette on the eyes, I am going to tell you guys a little bit about the palette. So this is the Patrick Starrr Visionary palette. This is a 15 pan eyeshadow palette, and the price of this is $42. So this is a more high-end brand and eyeshadow palette. I think $42 for a palette is pretty expensive. So here is the actual palette itself. It does kind of have like this slanted line, I guess, so it's easier to open, which definitely makes sense, and it does make it a little bit easier to open like if you have nails. But it does kind of bother me a little bit, not gonna lie, just because it's not straight, but I am a little bit more like picky about that kind of thing. But I do actually really love the palette. I really love the design. I think it's super cute. And then it does have a nice big mirror, and then here are all of the shades. So this is like your everyday kind of neutral palette. There are some fun pops of color in here. I kind of love the little like emojis or whatever they are that are like embossed in each of the shades. I thought those were adorable. So I actually really did like the color story of this palette. I wasn't originally going to buy it, but then it did kind of like grow on me a little bit. I was on Twitter, and I believe it was Amy Loves Makeup. By the way, if you guys don't know who she is, I love her videos. She also posts beauty videos here on YouTube, but she had posted, I think it was on Twitter, that this palette reminds her of the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette from like years ago. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, it totally does look like that palette. But then again, it's kind of easy to be like that palette because it was also just like a neutral palette with like a blue in it. All right, so let's do some quick swatches of each of the shades before we go ahead and try them out on the eyes. So I think I'm gonna start with this top row right here. So first up, we have the shade Manila Sands. That's a little bit powdery. Then we have the shade Taupe of My Game, Brownie. Ooh, that has great pigmentation. Suede Charm. Hopefully I can get all of these in one like row. Turban Legend. Next is the first shimmery shade called Title Holder. Ooh, that's really pretty. Then we have the shade Soft Serve, and honestly, that one felt a lot softer than some of the other mattes. Next, we have the shade Everything. Ooh, that's really nice. Next is All of It, I think. All of It. I'm probably going to butcher this next name, but I believe it's Blue Mondu, maybe? Something like that, but that's a really pretty royal blue. Then we have the shade Mango. That one did not have the best pigmentation. Next is Booked. Walnut Strut. That one's really pretty. Then we have Matcha. Oh, that's a really pretty green. And then the last shade is Rebel Gray. Man, I almost fit these all on my arm. So here are all of these shades swatched. All right, so those actually swatched really nicely. The mattes were very buttery and soft, and they had really good pigmentation. There were only a few that didn't have like the best pigmentation or that were like a little bit powdery, but overall they felt just as a $42 palette should feel. They felt really nice, and the shimmery shades were really metallic. So now we're gonna go ahead and try out the palette on the eyes. I think I'm gonna do two different looks just like I would normally do. So I'm first gonna take my P. Louise base and just apply this all over my lids, just so we have a nice kind of like blank canvas to work with. So I think I'm gonna do kind of like a natural type glam on one eye, and then on the other eye I'm gonna try and like go in with some of the colors. So I'm first gonna take this shade right here called Mango, and I'm just gonna kind of pat this in the crease and then start blending it. I'm not gonna be like too precise with this shade just because it is like a light kind of transition shade. I feel like this shade though is going on the eye a lot better than it swatched because it didn't swatch the best. But honestly, I kind of feel like swatches are not always like super reliable to like tell if a palette is good or not, because sometimes shades can swatch like terribly, but then they perform really nicely on the eyes. I'm also going to put this right up against the lower lash line and kind of connect it over here. So now I'm going to take the shade right here called Soft Serve, and I'm just going to start by kind of patting this in the crease and then blending. And honestly, like that has a lot of pigmentation. I'm also going to press some of that up against the lower lash line. So now I'm going to take some of this shade right here called Booked, and I'm just going to start by kind of patting this on the outer corner and then slowly blend that in a little bit. And then I'm also just going to add some right up against the lower lash line. So now I'm going to take a little bit of the shade called Brownie, and I'm just going to take it like on this little pencil brush, and I'm just going to kind of pat a little bit on the outer corner just because I want to deepen it up just a little bit. So I went ahead and like kind of cut my crease off camera, and now I'm going to try out some of the shimmery shades. I think I'm just going to use one for this eye. So I'm going to take the shade right here called Title Holder. So I'm going to try it with a dry brush first and see how this applies. Hopefully there's not a lot of fallout. So honestly, like that's not bad with a dry brush, but I like a more like kind of metallic looking lid shade. So I'm gonna spray my brush and let's try it wet. Oh yeah, that looks way better with a wet brush. So I went ahead and added some mascara. So here is this eye complete. Honestly, I do like the way it turned out, but I feel like it would have turned out better had I started with the darkest shade and then worked my way out like I normally do. I feel like shadows just don't like layer as nicely when you start from lightest and then go darkest. Like I feel like this look definitely would have turned out nicer had I started out from the darkest shade, but I can't change that now. But I think on this eye, I'm probably gonna start with the darkest shade and then go lightest. So I'm gonna try and use some of the other shades. I can't decide. I kind of want to do like a green eye, but then like the blue and on this row is like kind of like calling to me. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with the green shades, because for this row, I feel like I'm missing like something to blend out with the blue with, just thinking about it. So I think I might use the green shade. So I'm probably gonna go back in with the shade Brownie right here, and I'm gonna start out with this shade. So I'm gonna take that shade on like a little tiny brush, and I'm just gonna kind of like build this up on the outer corner and kind of like map out my crease area, kind of just like drawing a line. So it's gonna start out looking crazy, but I promise by the end it will look better, hopefully. And then I'm also going to kind of just put this on the lower lash line, probably about halfway. So now I'm gonna pick up the shade Matcha, and I'm gonna use this to kind of blend out that dark brown. So I'm just gonna kind of like tightly place this in the crease. Wow, that shade has a lot of pigmentation. Oh my gosh. Ooh, and it's like kind of darker than I was imagining it was gonna be. Yeah, this shade definitely, I feel like looks darker on the eye than it did in the pan. So I'm kind of freaking out a little bit because I would not normally take like a dark shade up that high. I thought it was gonna be like a lighter kind of olive green. I mean, it is a pretty shade, but I probably wouldn't have put it as high if I had known it was gonna be this dark. So now I'm gonna take this shade right here, and I'm just gonna try and blend out the last shade. Hopefully I didn't like ruin this eye going so high with those dark shades. I'm getting a little worried here because this one's also pretty dark as well. These are like really, really pigmented, so you definitely have to have a light hand. So I didn't want to, but I think I'm gonna have to take some of Mango again, and I'm just gonna try and blend this out. This eye is not starting off too well right now. So I went ahead and cut my crease off camera. I kind of stopped with the lower lash line because I'm not really sure what I want to do with it anymore. But now I'm going to take the shade Olive It right here and put this all over my lid. I am going to wet my brush again, so I'm just going to pick up the shade on my brush and then spray it with some setting spray. And I'm just going to put this all over the lid. That is a really pretty olive color. I feel like this green's kind of going on a little bit better than the gold did. All right, so that green shade all over the lid went on super nicely. So I think I'm gonna go back in with the shade Matcha right here, and I'm just gonna kind of put this like on my lower lash line because I feel like I shouldn't have even applied that dark brown at all. I don't know why I thought this green was like lighter, but I'm just gonna take that olive green and kind of blend it all under the lash line. And then I'm gonna take like a little fluffy brush with the shade Mango and kind of blend this out. All right, so here are both eyes complete. I went ahead and added some mascara on this eye. Honestly, I can't really decide which side I like better. I feel like I would probably like this side better had I started with the darkest shades and then gone light like I did on this side. I just personally like to do my eyeshadow like that. I feel like the colors layer better when you do it like that. But yeah, I feel like these shadows definitely performed really well. I think I would like this eye better had I known that olive green was going to be that dark when you apply it to the lids. But overall, these shades performed very nicely. So I feel like this is a really nice palette. I feel like the formula definitely is good for the price. Like, I expected really nice shadows for a $42 palette, and I was not disappointed by the quality, like, at all. The mattes are super pigmented. They're very buttery and soft. They blend out really nicely, and the shimmery shades are super pretty metallic. They look good dry, but they look better wet. Obviously, any kind of like metallic or shimmery shade looks better when you wet your brush. So I'd probably say this is like a palette that you don't like need. Obviously, you guys probably already have palettes with like a bunch of neutral shades, and then most palettes have like a pop of color. So I wouldn't say that you need this palette, but if you guys want a really nice neutral palette that you can create like a smoky eye with, an olive eye, like a warm toned eye, I would definitely recommend this palette. But yeah, if you guys don't need like a new palette, then I would say probably like don't get it. But if you guys want a really good palette that's like neutral, I would say totally pick it up because the quality is actually really good, and I feel like you can actually create like a lot of different looks with this palette just with the shades that are in here. Like, you have some more like cool tone browns. I feel like this one applies a little bit more cool tone than it looks in the pan. Then you have like these nice greens here, and then this row right here would be good for a smoky eye. So this is a versatile palette. So overall, I am impressed with the palette. I feel like it feels nice. The packaging is nice. I'm not the biggest fan of the like cut like this just because it kind of bothers me a little bit. Like, I get it that it's easier to open, which is actually like a great idea, but it's personally just like not my favorite thing, I guess. Like, I'm not that into the palette being cut like that. Maybe it'll grow on me, but yeah, I can definitely see myself reaching for this palette. A lot of the times I try out palettes for like YouTube and then I never reach for them again, but I definitely feel like this is a palette that I will be reaching for because it does have a lot of good shades in here. So yeah, a huge congratulations to Patrick Starrr for this line at Sephora. I think it's so amazing that he has his own makeup line, especially at Sephora. Like, that's really exciting. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, make sure you guys go check out that giveaway that I mentioned at the beginning of today's video. You don't want to miss out on it. And also make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. That way you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.